Hello everyone, we're going to be doing some discus again today. Decided I'm going to try to throw once a week, hopefully. So we're going to do some more drills and stuff like that first, because my last throwing session didn't go too great. So I'm going to figure some things out for myself and then kind of try to relate that to what I have my athletes do as well. So I'm going to start off in the power position with some statics. Just focus on the floor, being the first thing that moves and seeing when we push the actual implement. This is a little discus tool to get from Athletics, VS Athletics. Very helpful. Love this a lot. Used to train with this a lot, so haven't had my kids use it in a while, but I think it's gonna come back out pretty soon. Start from the power. Imagine I'm throwing that way. So that's pretty much the feeling that we should have with the legs. The issue that we have sometimes as athletes is we don't know when to push the discus, right? Because the idea here is let the legs do all the work. So my body's moving because my legs are moving, and I block, and then I push, right? But that's too late of a push, and it's too drastic, and that's why a lot of kids top the discus. So right now, I'm gonna do a few more and have the idea of my legs being active, but also trying to push the discus from its high point, right? So I want to see what that feels like. I tried a few different angles and see if I could figure out the most appropriate time to push. Those felt pretty okay. Started pushing from back here. I have to see what it looks like. I feel like I might have not been as long as I could have been, opposed to this right here. Allows you to be as long as possible. So if I can be here when I'm pushing from back there, it's pretty good. But if I'm shorter away, then I'm just transferring too early. So I'll do one more. That's okay. Weak sided block, but right now that's not the focus. So I'll try a few different angles. Focus more on blocking here. Do a few more still. Okay. So I'm gonna do a handful more just because I didn't do that good of a job of kind of what I spoke about last week, turning all the way through. I'll turn about here and I stop turning. Discus takes over. So try two more. One more. Low points here. Push to low point. Turn ahead. Block, deliver. Low points here. Push to low point. Leg ahead. Block, deliver. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Push to low point. That should hopefully keep me back. Didn't push the low point, didn't block, didn't deliver. Push the low point, turn the leg. That's the key, push the low point, turn the leg. Push the low point, turn the head. Push the low point, turn the head. a little better. Push a little, put, turn ahead. Point, turn ahead, go. Try too hard. Really think about it here. The way I learned it and the way I teach it is independent left being 1, 2 being our right side system, 3 being finishing the discus. All right. So in action, you'll see the separation of 1, 2, 3. Try that one more time. 1, 2, 3. Right. The problem that I have specifically, and some of my kids do, kids in general, is I go 1, 2, and this doesn't continue to turn. They just go 3, and it catches up and gets ahead. So, kind of a cheat on that would be taking 1 and 2 together. So 1, 2, right? The problem is sometimes if I go 1 and I don't go independently, and I try to turn as well, I'll let my shoulders turn. Versus if I naturally just go 1, nothing is moving. 1, 2, right? But sometimes if I go together, it'll be 1. So the idea is still be independent, but just connect the dots between the arm and the hip together. 1, 2, right? 1, 2. Opposed to 1, 2, 3. Because right now what I'm really doing is 1, 2, 3. I need that foot just to be more engaged. So I'm gonna try another set. This will be set 3. Didn't get to record the second set. And the focus is gonna be 1, 2, together, take 3. And I have to not try so hard. Part of me wants to slam the discus for distance, but that's not what's important. Not for me, at least. Not right now. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Poor execution of the delivery, but that's perfectly okay. I think 1 and 2 happened better. I think my left side system was just very weak. So I'm gonna try same thing, 1, 2 together. Just being more intentional with being strong. You hear the thought process, and that's a lot of like little things. So that can be challenging for a high school kid or a young college kid. So for myself, I have to try to simplify it. I can handle all the little details, but when you actually try to do it and try to think about all those little details, it makes it very hard. So what I'm gonna just think is 1 and 2 together and strong left. I know that I know how to release the discus. I'm not gonna worry about that right now. Whatever happens, happens. If it goes up, if it goes sideways, left, right, doesn't really matter right now. The focus is active around with my left and my right system. Block the left. Whatever happens with the discus happens. Blocked better. I engaged 1 and 2 better, but I could tell that I didn't finish. I could tell that I shut it down here, then I caught up. In all honesty, if I want to fix this, I probably have to just throw the blue ball or a different ball because I have too many habits with the actual discus. And I know that I could drill it correctly. If I go with no discus, I could drill it correctly. That's not a problem. The moment a discus is in my hand, just like with many throwers, your habits want to kick in, right? So it's important to throw non-discus. So balls or bottles or pinballs or, not pinballs though, bowling pins, sorry. Stuff like that. It takes the idea off of throwing the discus specifically, and it lets you really focus better on whatever technique you're trying to fix, right? But I don't have bowling pins, and I don't feel like throwing that ball right now, so I'm gonna just try to fix it. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna move on to the half now. So I have my own set of issues, right? But really, the point of me trying to go through these things is to figure out the feeling better for specific issues that my kids are having. So we have two key issues. Key issue number one that my kids have and a lot of young kids have is that the upper body will often lead, the left leg will often turn at the start of the half. The reason why that's not favorable is because when really the purpose of the half turn is two things, right? Keeping separation and understanding how to move through the ring. So in reality, this left leg is simulating this left leg out of the back. So as I rotate, the idea is my left leg drives forward out of the back, right? Same thing in the half. If I go here and my left leg does this, I'm essentially training my body for this in the full around and then doing this. And really what we're looking for is more of a sprinting action on the left side, not a sweeping action, right? And when I set up in the half and I do this, first, I'm setting up a sweeping action on my left side, like this. That's not very favorable for the idea of moving forward. So number one goal is keep my eyes and my lift system ahead of me as I push forward. A little bit of turn is only natural as you're younger, right? And the second key thing is being more independent with my left leg landing. And those issues kind of go hand in hand. If my left leg sweeps around like this, what's going to happen is my hip is going to round. So we're going to focus now on the second issue that I'm going to try to feel better. If I let my left hip pull me, you'll see my whole body move, right? And as I provide force to that, what happens is I land open, facing you instead of facing back here. I land with my weight heavier this way, and I set myself up to lunge at the front of the throw, or I do these funky movements, right? So if I let my left hip pull me like this, it's hard to land open. And even if I try to restrict myself and hold myself back, which I'll show as an example here, it becomes very uncomfortable, painful on the back, painful on the hips. So in reality, what should be happening is once my left system crosses my right system here, the idea is actively and independently push down. So as I do this, you'll see my leg open and drive to the floor. And as that happens, my right side doesn't move. Nothing else in my body moves. So um, there's a lot of different ways to explain this. The way I explain it to young kids is I say, kick your butt and kick the ground, kick the butt, kick the ground, kick the butt, kick the ground, kick your butt, kick the ground, right? And as they get older, they forget that stuff and they let the rhythm take over and start to sweep. So I'm gonna try to see if there's a more effective way to do this or explain it. Drive forward, independent left down, and try to connect the dots to the front for myself, which is left arm, right hip together, deliver the discus. So from here, just think forward, independent, forward, independent. Which is very hard for kids to understand, and hard for me to do right now as well. I haven't trained in a long time. It's easy to want to move the discus forward, opposed to just leaving it relaxed and back and carrying the discus. But we can try again. I'm trying to just hit the discus and I'm not catching it. I'm not letting the system take care of itself. I'm not having a good focal point, which means I don't have any catch. My separation is pretty bad. A lot of negative things. But at the moment, that's not really the focus. The focus is pushing off, pushing down, pushing forward, pushing down. So this next one, I'm gonna try to push forward, push down, and also have some separation, right? So if you're a kid struggling with these things, I would say break it up first and try to accomplish mini goals first. You know, if you're struggling to push forward, you're probably struggling catching, stuff like that. Accomplish one thing at a time. And most of the time, as you're younger, one key fix will solve a lot of little problems. So if I push forward better and I stay relaxed with my upper body, I should catch better. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna try to relax my upper body. Rather than thinking, force my head back, I'm gonna just try to relax my upper body and let it go for a ride with whatever I generate from my legs. So we're gonna see what that looks like here. So it was significantly better catch. I landed here. I think I was a little bit down though. I didn't do a good job of actively driving down, but I was able to actually catch that. And then everything else was kind of weak after that. But everybody was relaxed, pushed forward, pushed down, but wasn't very strong on it, so I leaned over. So I reviewed the film, and it wasn't bad, honestly. Better than I expected, to be honest. There is a little bit of this at the start, right? That's just lack of practice on my end. And the key here is really to think, push knee into knee. My left knee into the back of my right knee like this. A lot of kids will go shin to knee like this. And when you go shin to knee, that's setting up this idea right here, which is kind of what I was kind of doing a little bit. The idea is more knee to knee. So knee to knee down. So the first issue, I didn't do too great a job of execution wise throwing. But the second thing of an independent left leg was pretty good. I was actively reaching for the ground, and I had a moment of landing here before I would engage the turn. And truth be told, I completely forgot about the idea of left arm, right hip together. Completely neglected that idea. So I didn't really turn very good through the front. But the key takeaway here, if you're someone that struggles with this, is think knee to knee, knee to knee, active down, knee to knee, active down. Do it one more time and be more aggressive knee to knee. And as you go knee to knee, your center of mass should shift forward over your right. So knee to knee, down. Do that one more time. Eyes forward, left arm forward, knee to knee, knee to knee, down. Eyes back. Knee to knee, knee to knee, knee to knee, down. Do that one last time. Knee to knee, knee to knee, knee to knee, down. Forward, non-reverse. Terrible non-reverse. Terrible non-reverse. Okay. Forward, non-reverse. Just top that one. That goes back to exactly what I mentioned early on. Try to start pushing here. Like that's where you start actually actively pushing. You're gonna top throw. Wasn't ready to non-reverse again. So I kind of just did nothing until this moment. And I tried to slam it. And as you saw, discus just got topped. Push left, push forward. Catch, non-reverse. It's a key thing that I'm missing right now. Not catching the discus. That's why my non-reverses are real bad right now. That's okay. Left, forward, catch, non-reverse. So I should be able to have kind of some eye contact with the camera here when I land. That'll be my focal point, looking at the camera. Okay. Yeah, better. This may be my last set, or I might take one set of reverses just for enjoyment of myself. My focal point has to improve. As I get my left down, I have to make sure that I look back at the camera better. Part of that is just being more active, getting off and getting down, and keeping my body just more relaxed. I also have to load a little bit more left, so I'm gonna try to get my left shoulder a little bit more towards this pole on this side. Um, drive is fine. I could do a better job of being more aggressive off the drive, but the initial drive is okay. So two key focuses is left shoulder more that way, left leg more aggressive to the front, trying to stay back. There we go. Better. I think better. I think I got caught in zero support. Uh, Not really being aggressive getting down on the left side. But I definitely felt my oblique stretch and flex because I think I was a little bit more here opposed to on the last set. On my best throw, which was my third one, I was more like here. So my oblique's a little bit fired up, so most likely had a better catch. So we're gonna try again. I don't think I really pushed left very well. Part of it is that I'm not very active with my left side opening hard. My left side is opening, but there's no like load on it. So I have to just do a better job of feeling myself load knee over toe, sweep. That way, aggressive catch. I try to keep it less than three things in my mind, or when I tell a kid, depending on the kid, but three or less. Sometimes it's just one. Okay. I don't know about that one yet. I have to see that one. I felt some very good things. I felt some very bad things. I just haven't thrown enough to really be extremely in tune with my body. So there's some throws that'll get away with from me that I'll have to actively actually observe. So that's one of them. I definitely didn't enjoy the lack of ground contact at the front. Super weak with myself, super lungy, but I, I think some of the back was better. That one sucked. Farthest throw I've had probably, oh, no, not a wrist, but that one sucked. Not happy about that one. All right, I'm gonna take a set of reverses. This is kind of just gonna be for fun and for effort. Um, and the key thing with these effort attempts is going to be to try to execute some of the stuff that I covered today. Because for a lot of kids, um, with my own group, at the top of my mind while I say this, the moment that we try to provide effort, we often go away from the technical cues that we're working on. So when you're advanced, you know, at that point, you're really not thinking that much and you're just trusting your muscle memory. And when you're young, you're focusing a lot on either cues or heavy effort. If you're focusing on cues at a young age, chances are you're not feeling power. And if you're focusing on effort at a young age, chances are you're feeling a lot of power, but no control, right? And as you get older and progress, you have to find the balance between both. And a lot of times you're either dominated by one or the other. You're either dominated by technique or you're dominated by effort. So your technique is great, but you don't have as much power as you need, or you have great power, but you have not as good control. So finding that balance between great technique and great effort becomes very challenging. So we dedicate sometimes, within practice to have effort training. So everything that I've done today has been technique based. I haven't tried to throw. Even though I wanted to, I had to restrict myself and say, don't try hard. Now I'm telling myself, try hard, but have some execution of the technique that we're worried about, which is out of the back, just push a little bit more left, push forward, get down with a good focal point, and then slam the throw, right? So when I say provide more effort, I want to make this clear. I'm not saying provide more effort at the front. I'm saying provide more effort all around. So that doesn't mean things change. It just means you're doing the same things with more intention and more aggression, right? So we're gonna try to demonstrate that here in a second. We'll see.
Push. Want me to tell you when to push? All right, let's go. Let's go. Push. Good. Much better. Try again. Keep the right leg in. Push.
Ah, that sucked. That sucked so bad. Probably for the first time in my life, my non-reverses have gone better than my reverses. But that goes hand in hand with focusing on technique. When you focus on technique and you have decent strength and decent experience, you will perform fine. Right now, I'm kind of just throwing all that to the wind and just trying to throw. And as you can tell, it's not going too great. So I'll try one more. Bring my effort down a little bit. Focus a little bit more on execution. And we'll see.
You could go.
Slightly better. I'll take it. So second session of the year done. As a general recap, just as you start your practices, or not really practices, ideally you have a cycle, right? Cycles typically are between no, that's not true, between 11 and 18 sessions. So if I'm a discus thrower only, I would have 11 to 18 practices, focusing kind of on the same stuff, throwing the same weights. If I throw the shot and the discus, it carries over to uh, by double, right? So either 22 or 36 sessions it would take, right? So if you think about it in terms of that, if you're a high school kid, hopefully you are throwing both events, shot and disc. If you prolong it to 2 events, it'll take roughly 21 practices to 36 practices. So if you're practicing in high school 4 times a week, 5 times a week, that's maybe between 24 and 28 practices a month. So a cycle could pretty much range you a month. The importance of a cycle is to make sure that you give yourself time to adapt to new ideas, and you give yourself time to adapt to weights, right? So an example of like a boy high school discus thrower and a shot putter, right? Ideally, he's throwing probably like a 14 if he has it. If he doesn't have 14, they probably have access to a 16. So 16 or a 14, a 12 and a 10, right? So it also depends on the time of the year. It doesn't have to be that. It could be just be 16, 12 or just 10, 12. It could be different, right? In the discus, it could be 2K, 1.5, 1K. It depends on access because different people have different access to things, right? Here, I have my boys throw the 2K. Uh, I'm a boys throw a 6 pound shot like a discus, a 2K and a 1.6, right? And whenever we go light, we just throw a discus tool. So we throw a 1.5 or 1.4 discus tool, because we don't have any 1.4s or anything lighter. On the girls' side, uh, we do have some interchangeable weight discus. So we'll go 1.25, 1K for this cycle, but and at the most diverse cycle, we'll go 1.25, 1K, and then 0.75. So it depends on the cycle that we're on. But ultimately, give yourself time within your cycle to figure out what's working, what's not working. Yeah, track season's just about starting right now. So if you're hoping, to qualify for area regionals district, you have enough time to go through 2 cycles right now from now till about district time. So either you yourself plan it, if you have access to a good coach, talk to your coach and be like, hey coach, what's the cycle, what's the plan? Because if you're showing up to practice every day and you're kind of just going through the motion, or you're kind of just throwing random reps, or just a lot of reps, or just a little reps, doesn't really matter. But if that's all you're doing, you're just throwing and there isn't an actual focus, it's going to be hard to progress. It doesn't mean that you can't progress, because you still likely will progress, but you're delaying how quickly you can progress, right? So everyone's experience level is different, and everyone's level of progress will be different, but everyone can benefit from having a focused plan. And if you're very new to the event, there's a chance that you can progress very quickly. If you're intermediate, there's a very high chance that you can improve quickly. And if you're very advanced and you haven't gone through a cycle or program, that's kind of surprising. But you would still have the opportunity to still kind of progress quickly. But typically, if you're advanced, you've been on a cycle. And if you are in a cycle, then you know that the higher that you get within the throw, or the better that you get within the throw, the progress narrows, right? So just be patient and be confident and continue to trust whatever plan that you are on. And if you're not on a plan, I would highly suggest getting on a plan. That'll be the quickest way to find success. And if you have questions on that, and you don't have a coach, just leave a comment, and I'll find a way to maybe make a video about it, or maybe try to reach out to you directly and give you some examples on that. So hopefully you'll enjoy this video. See y'all next time.